And so he was hiding money. He didn't want to pay that. He said, you ain't getting nothing. I earned this fair and square by lying, cheating, and harassing the community. That's what I did. They had money in a certain account, and they were pretending that account didn't exist. I think it was the Chase Bank. He was stashing away this money into this one place, and then he's just pretending like this money don't exist, which is crazy. Why would you put money in a bank and then pretend it doesn't exist? You better shove that shit in your fucking pillow. What are you doing? Like... Hey yo, it's your girl J9Eve. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, get into the comments, let me know what you think about this. Lacey, y'all remember Tiffany Henyard, the super mayor, and she will always be called because she made up the name, which means she gets to take it with her. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this, okay? But this was her chief of police. He walked exactly like a silverback. I'm just saying, her silverback in chief, okay? All right? He used to harass the townspeople in her honor, okay? And she paid him handsomely to do so. All right. He probably should just follow her around and go be her bodyguard now that she's trying to live in Atlanta. And I don't know what her plans are, but she's got plans. But apparently, I remember back when all this stuff was still going on, you know, since then, Atlanta is tuck-tailing. Tiffany is tuck-tailing and ran to Atlanta. Mr. Lacey, Louis Lacey, the former Dalton police chief, he had a bankruptcy fraud case. He was hiding money. And him and his wife, apparently, or allegedly, or whatever, however you got to put it, they had money in a certain account, and they were pretending that account didn't exist. I think it was the Chase Bank, if I remember correctly. So he was stashing away this money into this one place, and then he's just pretending like this money don't exist, which is crazy. Why would you put money in a bank and then pretend it doesn't exist? You better shove that shit in your fucking pillow. What are you doing? Like, that's why they used to shove money in pillows. This is why they used to these mattresses. This is why they used to do that, because they know once you send it in the bank, it's known about. Period. Duh. But apparently he has pled guilty. This case is gone full circle. And he has pled guilty. Let's see, it says on November 21st, 2025, former police chief Louis Lacey pled guilty. Oh, so you did do it. Of course, we knew he did it. I'm just joking. I'm being funny. I'm sure he lied and said he didn't at the time. I'm sure he was like, I didn't do nothing and this is ridiculous and y'all can't prove shit and whatever. But now he's done pled guilty, of course, because duh, okay? Lacey was appointed to his position by the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard. Yes, honey. Now she's the disgraced ex-mayor who's trying to clean up her image by hiring some weird place in Florida to send out random fucking letters. Hilarious. Okay. We urge you to read both the guilty plea and the agreement to grasp the extent of what he pled guilty to. Okay. So from the guilty plea, it says, by the plea agreement, defendant agrees to enter a voluntary plea of guilty to the following counts of the superseding indictment. Count 1, which charges defendant with devising a scheme to defraud and for the purpose of executing and concealing the scheme attempting to do so. Filing a petition, commencing a bankruptcy case. Yeah, he tried to start a bankruptcy case because he didn't want to pay some lawsuit money that he owed, if I remember it correctly. Let's see if I remember that correctly. Let's see. Filing petition, commencing a bankruptcy case under Title 11. Okay. Essentially, Lacey tried hiding funds from creditors and specifically to avoid a settlement agreement. Yep. He had a settlement agreement from a previous lawsuit. He didn't want to pay that money because stingy, greedy, and a fucking liar. That's why. That's why. And so he was hiding money. He didn't want to pay that. He said, you ain't getting nothing. I earned this fair and square by lying, cheating, and harassing the community. That's what I did. Okay. It says the government anticipates recommending a sentence of between 24 and 30 months. Ooh, 2 years to 2.5. In addition to any supervised release and fine the court may impose. Wow. He's going to do 2 to 3 years, almost 3 years in jail. Then he's gonna come out and he is gonna be on supervised whatever. They're gonna have an ankle bracelet on his ass. He really need one. He's a silverback. He can't run. Well, silverbacks can run. Actually, he's a silverback without talent. How about that? He's a silverback with no stamina. He's a stamina-less silverback. Okay. A sentence status hearing will be held on March 9th, 2026. Okay, so they'll be deciding his sentence, whether he'll get 2 years, 2.5 years, or eternity. There will be a term determining that March the 9th. Okay, factual basis. Defendant will plead guilty because he is in fact guilty of the charges contained in Court 1 of the suspended indictment. Now, the reason they word this like this is to be specific and to say he's not just pleading guilty because the charges and he was afraid he might, it's like they're going to be able to, they got evidence that they think they're just going to throw it at me and I'm going to end up in jail for a longer time and I'll just take the plea guilty even though I didn't do it. They want to make sure that he can't come back and fucking say that. So they put that in there. Defendant will plead guilty because he is in fact guilty. Okay. In pleading guilty, defendant admits the following facts and that those facts establish his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt and constitute relevant conduct pursuant to guideline On or about August 22nd, 2019, at Chicago, North Center District, defendant, also known as Louis Anthony Lacey, Sr., for the purpose of executing and concealing a scheme to defraud and attempting to do so, filed a cause and caused a... Okay, that's the bankruptcy. He filed the bankruptcy, specifically at all times relevant to the scheme. Lacey was employed as a police officer by the Village of Dalton. Here we go. By the Village of Dalton, and was married and resided at a residence in White Oaks Road in Madison, Illinois. With his spouse, who was also employed, Lacey had control and signature authority over 3 bank accounts at the Bank of America, including some account numbers on here with his spouse, and 3 accounts at the Chase accounts at JP Morgan Chase. Lacey and his spouse caused income that they earned from their respective employment to be deposited into BOA account 5121 and paid their household expenses, including the mortgage loan secured by the White House. On or about July 22nd, 2015, case number that was filed in the circuit court where Lacey seeking a judgment in the amount of $88,000. Okay. Against Lacey. So he owed $88,800 in that suit, right? In that lawsuit. So that's what he owed. So on or about February 7, 2017, Lacey entered into a settlement. Okay. And he was supposed to pay at $55,000. On or about June 19th, the plaintiff in the state motion alleging that Lacey filed a motion to enforce the settlement agreement because he hadn't paid yet, because stingy, greedy, whatever. The settlement in the case in which he agreed to pay... Motion to enforce, the agreement alleging that Lacey was in default for failure to pay $43,000 of the amount due from the settlement. The circuit court set a status for the state case on August the 2nd, 2019. Thereafter, beginning in or around August 2019, and settled and continued until in June 2020. Okay, Lacey devised and intended to devise a scheme to defraud, and for the purpose of executing, concealing the scheme, and attempting to do so, filed and caused to file the petition commencing the bankruptcy. So he tried to file for bankruptcy so he didn't have to pay this here money. Oh, and now he going to jail. And that's what you get. Long story short, roundabout a way to say he going to jail. He going to jail. Lacey done played around and now he going to jail. Okay. 2.5 years. Look at you. I hope you go in there and work out, Silverback. Okay, you need to work out when you get in there. You need to do better. I don't know if his wife gonna catch any charges. I'm curious now, because apparently she knew all about this and played some parts or something. I don't know, but it's giving waifu new. Okay, so I guess we'll find out, or maybe he took that plea and they were like, look, you take this here plea, you go ahead and plead guilty, and we won't arrest your wife. How about that? You think he a stand-up guy and would take that deal and go to jail to save his wife? She gonna move on while you in jail. I'm just telling you, Lacey. She gonna find a brand new husband. One that ain't shaped and moving around like a silverback. Oh, and that's the story. That's the tale. This is where he is now, if anyone was ever curious. I wonder what happened to Lacey. You ever wonder what happened to Lacey? Jail. Just go look in the prison. You'll find him there. You can ask him how everything's going. All right. Y'all behave, because I'm not going to do it. Absolutely not. Just nope. Remember, love you. Yes, you do. Ooh. Peace.